Caterpillar is moving. They've got the site cleared. They're moving dirt. They have their foundation permit. They're going to start putting the foundation down, and they are going to be moving very quickly. From the beginning, they said they intended to be setting equipment by the end of this calendar year. Wayne, you've been working very closely with them. I don't think there's any indication that they plan to back off of that date in any shape, form, or fashion. They're going full steam ahead. Again, the goal for them was to be in full production by fourth quarter of next year. And that doesn't mean that they're going to be producing all of the lines that they plan to produce out of this facility. They're going to phase those in, starting with the mini hydraulic excavators. Those are going to be the first ones coming off the line. And then they're going to be phasing in the dozers the next couple of years as they ramp up their employment. They're going to be ramping up the product lines that are coming off at that point. So that's where it stands at this point. To be perfectly honest with you, I would rather take your questions. I heard there were some questions last time, and I think that's the best use of the time. Just answer your questions, and if there's anything else that I need to add to that, I'll be happy to do so.
There were a number of questions related to the economic impact to the community, both
Sure.
in residential growth and commercial growth, tax revenue, that sort of thing.
Certainly. Let's take that from two different vantage points to start with. Number one, let's look at the impact specifically of Caterpillar, and then let's talk about the bigger picture. Caterpillar, from every indication that we've gotten, probably 150-ish, maybe 200 people will come into the community as a result of the project. And that's ballpark number. They may end up hiring more locals if the people are the right fits for those positions that they have. They, at present, have already hired 30 people, plus or minus one or two here. So that process has begun. Not all of them are here. Not all of them are on the ground here. Some of them are. They've got laptops and they're working, I guess, from home at this point. Athens Tech is setting up some office space for them temporarily, and I know that they've gotten some office space completed at this point, and the folks will be trickling into that facility. So you're talking 100, 150 that will move into the area. Will they all be Oconee? No. But I think we're in a position to garner a good number of those. The people can be moving in from anywhere all over the country. Caterpillar will probably be tapping into a number of people that are existing employees of theirs at various facilities across the country. So we could see them coming in from North Carolina, which is where this division is headquartered, or they could be coming in from anywhere else that Caterpillar deems appropriate. So I would venture to say 150 or so will be moving to the area associated with Caterpillar. Caterpillar is, at a minimum, going to make a $200 million investment over the next 5 or 6 years in the community. That's a huge number. That's just in facility. And as they ramp up, ballpark payroll is going to be 60 million, give or take, whenever they get up to the full staffing at 2019, 2020. So that's a huge number right there as well. You will definitely have some multiplier effect as a result of this, but that gets into the much bigger picture. There are suppliers that are associated with this. At present, it's impossible to put a number on what that impact is going to be, because Caterpillar isn't 100% sure who all these suppliers are going to be. They may be using some of the same suppliers that end up relocating. They may be partnering with businesses that are on the ground in the region today that do these specific, that have these specific skills, product lines that they can make for Caterpillar. So it's too early to tell. I was talking with my counterparts at the state who were working with us very closely. I guess I was talking with them Thursday or Friday of last week, and there's still some question as far as who is going to be the Caterpillar supplier. But there will be companies moving into the area. I've already heard that there are several that Caterpillar is talking to very specifically, but it's too early to try to rattle off the names of the companies, where they're located, where we think they might come from. That won't take long. They're working very diligently in this area, and if they plan to be in production next year, they've got to be moving as far as identifying who these suppliers are going to be, and then bringing them to this area. The State Department of Economic Development has a trade mission going over there to specifically talk to some of Caterpillar's existing suppliers in Japan. One of the individuals in the department worked in Japan for a number of years. He was a staffer over there, fluent in Japanese, the language, the culture, the whole 9 yards. So he's basically the lead for the state in that regard. So he's going to be doing that in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know the exact date of his trip over there. So that's looking at the bigger picture. Until they start identifying their suppliers specifically, it's nothing more than pulling a number out of the air as far as what we think that total overall impact is going to be. But suffice it to say, it's going to be a very big number. Yes, sir.
These suppliers that's in Japan, are they American companies or are they Japanese companies?
Japanese. There may be some American companies over there as well that are suppliers to them, but this facility is coming back to the States from Japan, and there are quite a few Japanese companies that are current suppliers of the mini excavator and the small track tractor, or the bulldozers, that are Japanese companies in Japan supplying them today.
Yeah, all this, appreciate you coming over. All this came up in the context of the T-Splosh. And we were wondering, or at least well, I was, how the two might synergize or not.
Sure. That was one of the things that the Caterpillar did talk about during our discussion phase with them, which this discussion phase from the first phone call to the formal announcement was 64 days. Very short window. But they were aware of several things that were going on within the state. The T-Splosh was one. The tax on power, energy, yes, for manufacturers was another one that they were keenly interested in, that was going through the legislature this past session. So they made it a point to say they thought that was a good thing. They thought it could be helpful. They've got two missions: assemble the product and get it from this location to a final destination. And they were very interested in the possibility of seeing that come through and ensure that the delivery mechanism was solid for them in the future.
Rusty, this has been on the fast track, and the impact of transportation is going to be unsurmountable. And it obviously, Caterpillar's product has got to move. That's how everyone makes money.
Sure.
Are we prepared for the impact that we're going to, I guess Neil might even weigh in on this, on what we're going to have to do to upkeep the roads, to keep transportation at its peak, to make sure those products are moved?
Emil, I'll defer to you, but I'll give my assessment first. This facility is located right at the intersection of two major highways. These highways are designed for heavy traffic. And if there was ever a place in the county where you could put this down and have the least impact, I would say this is probably pretty darn close to that. And they're looking at initially truck traffic. They said that rail traffic was not a requirement for this project, but they've always been interested in it. So there's another vehicle. The rail line is roughly 1,000 feet away from their property line on Atlanta Highway, and whether they pursued bringing the rail to the site or some type of transload facility or using existing transload facilities within a couple of miles of there, they have options. And I wouldn't say that you're guaranteed that the truck traffic will be the only mechanism that they have to transport product. Caterpillar has approached the Orkins about options on additional property there on site. So there's the potential to put additional businesses adjacent to Caterpillar where you really have no significant additional infrastructure cost. So if you do that, that's the optimal level of maximizing the investment there. And then from that point, it's less of a local decision as it is a Caterpillar decision and a supplier decision as far as exactly where they're going to locate. Yes, we could say, well, the only place you could go is here, but if that's not where they want to locate, they're going to be in an adjacent county or somewhere within the next 20, 30, 40 miles. So it's a delicate balance there in trying to encourage them to locate in close proximity. To be quite honest with you, as many of them as could locate on the Orkin property, that would be great in my mind because the investment's already been there. So that's just something that would have to be worked out between Caterpillar and or their supplier and the Orkins.
And are our zoning regulations amenable to that amount of industrial development taking place there?
It would be. We've got the industrial zone there on our side. Athens Clark has their EI zone. But what we're doing is putting an overlay district in place. And this overlay district is going to have one set of rules for the property. This is something that is probably going to be considered by both boards later in the summer. So that's one mechanism to ensure that you don't have fragmented pieces and what the two counties have agreed to is a 50-50 proposition on the Oregon track. The investment was split 50-50. The revenues on the backside are going to be split 50-50. So there's really no county line jockeying that would go on in the process. And by virtue of this overlay district, the rules are going to be the same on both sides. So I think that's going to go a long way toward encouraging development on that site.